Balance is one of the most important things to consider when designing a video game. However, there's a large misconception that balanced games are better than imbalanced games by default, and I believe that the topic has much more depth to it than that. So first off, let's discuss a game that I believe benefits from its imbalance. Let's start with my favorite game, Fire Emblem, Binding Blade. In this game, there are like 4 really good units, a couple okay ones, and then a bunch that pros would consider to be very, very bad. However, having 4 unbelievably absurd units like Rutger, who you're seeing on screen now, can make the game very fun as you can watch him mow down hundreds of enemies without him getting hit once. On the other hand, Boris, a unit that has a terrible class, mediocre stats, and is inaccurate, is also very fun because of how terrible he is. I streamed a playthrough of this game and Boris got a few good level ups, so I used him to get meme kills on bosses, and by the end of the game he could solo entire areas. While at the same time I was able to enjoy abusing Rutger in the ways I mentioned above. So by having Imbalance, the game has offered me several types of fun to have, and offers replay value to see what different team compositions I can come up with. Now to compare it with another game in the series that's a lot more balanced, we can discuss Fire Emblem Three Houses. Pretty much every unit in this game can do the same thing to a similar effect, because you can make them all the same overpowered class and give them all the same weapons. And they even all start out in the same class. Sure, each student has individual skills that can put them slightly above the rest, like Ignat's being more accurate, but if you want to, you can have every student do the same thing. If we compare Ingrid and Leonie, they're both fast units that can become flyers and be very good in your playthrough if you put effort into them. This also describes most of the other characters in the game. Compare this to the differences between Rutger and Boris, and the difference is clear. Because of this, repeat playthroughs of Three Houses on the hardest difficulty can become very stale, since you're essentially doing the same thing over and over again with every character. And many players agree that the characters are a bit too samey in Three Houses. This is a case where a game is a bit too balanced. For another instance where imbalance makes a game better, let's look at Pokemon. Farfetch'd is an irredeemable dog shit Pokemon with terrible stats and generic typing, but I love him because ducks are cool. And so because ducks are cool, I soloed the entirety of Ultra Moon with him, and beating the God of Light himself with my tiny crappy duck was extremely satisfying. If every Pokemon was equally good, this playthrough wouldn't have been nearly as satisfying, and you wouldn't be seeing videos like Magikarp solos the Elite Four. However, I chose to talk about Pokemon specifically to transition from Fire Emblem because it's a single-player game and a multiplayer game. Now let's try using Farfetch'd in a Pokemon battle with another player and see how long it lasts. Alright, here we are on the good old Pokemon Showdown. Now let's see how many turns my Farfetch'd can last against these high-tier pocket monsters. Alright, he sent out his Volcarona, Flying Beats Bug, and he's gone. There it is, GG's. As you can see, my favorite Pokemon didn't last long at all. This is frustrating balance, since it directly goes against the themes of the game, where you're supposed to get attached to your Pokemon, and the game even tells you to always use your favorites. However, if little Timmy goes online with his Beedrill and Audino, he's gonna get his shit wrecked instantly. Throughout the years of VGC, the official competitive Pokemon format, this has led to extremely constricting metas, where players more often than not just use the same 12-ish Pokemon in a game with nearly 1,000 of them. This is a case where imbalance can cause frustration, where you're pretty much forced to use Landorus Tharian, like everybody else on Earth, if you want to place well. But it's more complicated than that, since if you harshly adjust the balance for competitive players, you could ruin the main adventure for players who just want to use powerful Pokemon in single-player modes like the main adventure, the Battle Frontier, and the Battle Tower, like Blizzard did when they actively made characters like Symmetra and Mercy more boring because the competitive players complained about them, even though they were pretty fun in casuals. This is probably the most complicated issue when it comes to balancing, and ultimately comes down to if you care about the casual or competitive aspect of games more. For a more focused view on balance, let's look at games that are mostly focused on competitive multiplayer. All things considered, Dragon Ball Fighterz is an extremely well-balanced game, and you can pretty much use whoever you want and get results outside of 1 or 2 stinkers. But to be extremely focused for a moment, let's look at just one move UI Goku has in Dragon Ball Fighterz, his Standing Light attack. This attack moves Goku forward, making it easier to hit his opponent, comes out quickly, and has a very large hitbox. Needless to say, pretty much every other Standing Light in the game doesn't have these properties. This can lead to situations where it looks like it shouldn't hit you, but does, and then you're in for a very long combo ride. Now, to zoom out from just his punch, this is also on a character with Ki Blasts you can't super dash through, that he can also aim, has a 4-frame reversal, a command grab, etc. so while he's not overpowered by any means, it can still feel frustrating to fight him, especially if you're a new player who doesn't fully understand the game. Compare this to another top 10 character, Base Vegeta. Now, there's nothing too special about Vegeta upon first glance. It looks like he has average specials, average normals, etc. But these simple tools allow him to be very good because he has long combo loops and amazing mix-ups. The thing is, if you get hit by these moves, it's like, oh yeah, I totally could have blocked that, my bad. And a player with moderate experience can figure out how to deal with his moves. So while these two characters are both in the top tier, and Fighterz is a pretty balanced game in general, Ultra Instinct Goku has frustrating tools while Vegeta does not. This leads to an imbalance in player perceived fairness, regardless of the fact that these characters are on the same level, meaning that even reasonably balanced games can have frustrating elements. However, as I mentioned earlier, Fighterz is an extremely balanced game, and I can pretty much pick any team I want and go toe-to-toe with the best. Now let's look at a game where there isn't even a choice. Here in the best game ever made, Halo Reach, you can use one of two starting guns, the Assault Rifle or the DMR. Look at how many shots it takes the Assault Rifle to kill one of these little dudes right here. Okay, so here's my attempt at trying to kill the grunt from Halo with the Assault Rifle. Oh, he's taking a lot of shots. Oop, and I died. Okay. Alright, now you're probably wondering, is there a better way to kill those grunts? A better way than unloading a full clip of your Assault Rifle into them? Well, my friends, do I have the trick for you. It's called a headshot with the DMR that you should always use instead of the Assault Rifle. As you can see, there's a pretty big difference here. Why is that? Well, you see, the Assault Rifle can't get headshots, sucks against enemies that are far away, and does worse shield damage, meaning 99.99% of the time you're better off using the DMR. This leads to a lack of choice, unlike other multiplayer-focused games we discussed, because if you don't pick the DMR, you're actively shooting yourself in the foot in a multiplayer-focused team-based game. And based on this clip I have, where I have the sniper rifle, you can probably tell why being able to headshot opponents is a good thing. Also, since this is a team-based game, me and everyone else on the team will call you a poo-poo pee-pee head if you choose to use the assault rifle. So while I love Reach, everyone on the map using the same gun over and over again can lead me to choose the more party-focused game modes over the strictly serious ones. So, we've looked at cases where imbalance can cause a game to be better, cause games to be worse, and in the case of Reach, can cause staleness. I hope after this you have a greater understanding of game balance and how sometimes imbalance can cause a game to be even better than it already is, even if in some cases it's frustrating. So, in the end, what's the conclusion? Give Quagsire more stats, Masuda, you cheap fuck.